It was a hot July afternoon when I rode my bike across the neighborhood to Ryan's house. Ryan was my best friend since 3rd grade. We'd done everything together: school projects, video games, sleepovers, late-night drives as we got older. His house was like a second home to me, and his family always treated me like one of their own. That summer after high school graduation was supposed to be our golden time. College was just around the corner, and we both knew things would change once we went our separate ways. So we planned to spend as much time together as possible, swimming, hanging out, and doing absolutely nothing. That day, Ryan had texted me about meeting up to go over some last-minute stuff before our road trip to Lake Huron. I threw on a t-shirt, grabbed my backpack, and biked over. When I got to the front porch, I rang the bell like usual, expecting Ryan to come bounding down the stairs or shout that the door was open. But after a few seconds, the door creaked open, and it wasn't Ryan. It was his mom, Melissa. Melissa Mitchell was not your typical suburban mom. She was warm, funny, and sharp. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her as the woman who always brought extra cookies to the bake sales and had a joke ready at any awkward PTA meeting. She was in her early 40s, but you wouldn't have guessed it. She carried herself with the kind of casual confidence that made everyone comfortable. But what caught me off guard that day wasn't just that she opened the door, it was that she opened it in a towel. Her hair was damp, clinging to her shoulders, and she looked like she'd just stepped out of the shower. The towel was wrapped tight around her body, and a second smaller one was in her hands, probably meant for her hair. I stood there, stunned for a moment, trying to figure out whether I should look away or just act like nothing was unusual. Melissa didn't even seem fazed. "Oh hey, Adam," she said, smiling like it was no big deal. "Ryan's out back cleaning the cooler. Come on in." Yeah. "Sure," I said, doing my best to act casual, though I could feel the heat creeping up my neck. She stepped aside, and I walked in, still trying to shake the surprise out of my head. The living room smelled like lemon-scented cleaner and something freshly baked, probably banana bread or her famous cinnamon rolls. I headed toward the backyard, but before I got to the sliding door, I heard her voice again. "Could you do me a favor, Adam? Hand me the towel on the chair over there," she asked. I turned, still trying not to be awkward, and grabbed the towel she pointed at. I handed it to her without making eye contact, like it was a sacred mission. "Thanks, hun," she said, giving me that easy smile again before disappearing down the hallway. Out in the backyard, Ryan was crouched over the red cooler, scrubbing the inside with a sponge. He looked up and nodded as I walked out. "Took you long enough," he joked. "Yeah, your mom," she answered the door, I said. He didn't seem to think much of it. "She's always running late when she has a hair appointment or yoga or something." We got to work prepping the cooler, packing bags of ice, drinks, and snacks. Afterward, we went back inside for some water. Melissa was in the kitchen now, dressed and sipping coffee. She greeted me with another warm smile. "Everything ready for your big adventure?" she asked. "Just about," Ryan said. "We leave tomorrow morning." She nodded, looking at us with that mix of pride and quiet worry all parents seem to get before sending their kids off on their own. "I still can't believe you boys are heading to college. Feels like yesterday you were building Lego cities in the basement." "Yeah, well, time flies," I said, feeling a strange nostalgia creep up. Melissa looked at me for a moment, her expression soft. "You've grown up a lot, Adam." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just smiled and took a sip of water. Over the next few weeks, our lives began shifting quickly. Ryan and I left for college, settled into dorm life, and began navigating the weird new world of adult independence. We still talked, texted, and even video called on weekends, but as classes picked up and we both got busy, the frequency dropped. It wasn't until Thanksgiving break that I saw Melissa again. Ryan had gone to visit his cousins in Seattle, but I had chosen to stay local, mostly to work a few shifts and catch up on some reading. On the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I decided to drop by Ryan's house to return a borrowed book. I wasn't even sure anyone would be home. To my surprise, Melissa answered the door again. "Adam. Wow, look at you. Come in, she said, pulling me into a hug. "Ryan's away, but you're welcome to stay for some tea or something stronger." I smiled. "Tea's fine." I just came to drop this off. She took the book and waved me into the kitchen. Everything looked exactly the same, down to the magnets on the fridge and the little vase of plastic flowers by the sink. We sat and talked for over an hour. I hadn't realized how much I'd missed the feeling of being there. She asked about my classes, friends, and what I planned to major in. She seemed genuinely interested, not in that distracted, polite way adults sometimes ask questions, but as if she truly cared. College is strange, I admitted. Some days I feel like I'm on top of everything. Other days, it's just noise. Melissa nodded. That's how life is, not just college. The trick is to hold on to the quiet moments. I looked at her, and something shifted. It wasn't a crush. It wasn't that juvenile infatuation that comes from seeing someone attractive. It was deeper than that, a kind of appreciation for the way she carried herself, her wisdom, the calm she brought into any space. That wasn't the last time I saw her during that break. She invited me over for Thanksgiving dinner when she heard I'd be alone. We cooked together in the kitchen, laughing about burnt stuffing and a pie that wouldn't bake right. We talked about books, music, and even my parents' divorce, something I hadn't opened up about in years. And in those moments, something unspoken began to grow between us. Winter break came and went. Ryan and I met up a few times, but it was clear we were growing in different directions. We were still friends, but not the everyday companions we once were. Over the next year, I visited Melissa more often, sometimes under the pretense of checking in on their dog while Ryan was away, other times just because I wanted to talk to someone who understood me. She never pushed, never crossed a line, but the closeness deepened. Then, on a rainy spring afternoon during my sophomore year, everything changed. I had driven back home for the weekend. Ryan was traveling, and I had offered to help Melissa fix a leaky faucet. After we finished, she made hot chocolate and we sat in the living room, listening to the rain drum softly on the windows. I sometimes wish I had someone to talk to like this all the time, she said, stirring her mug. You do, I said without thinking. You have me. She looked at me for a long moment, her eyes searching mine. I know, she whispered. That was the beginning of something we didn't name right away. We didn't rush into anything. It wasn't some wild, dramatic affair. It was quiet. It was late-night conversations, shared meals, book recommendations, and laughter. It was mutual respect. It was care.